Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag, the all mailbag installment here on AMC Movie News, where all we do is take your mailbag questions. My name's John Campea. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and I'm so glad you decided to join us on this fine Sunday afternoon. And hey, guys, I'm going to let you know right up front, if you'd like to get a question or a comment in on either AMC Mailbag or AMC Movie Talk, you can email us anytime at this email address, amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Send in your questions. We get over 1,000 every week. Only have time to get to about, between 25 and 40 of them, so don't be dismayed if your question doesn't get asked. But go on ahead and give it a shot and send in your question. A couple things some in-house housekeeping items here I want to tackle first before we start. Number one, I keep getting comments on this, and people are saying in the comment section, John, it's rude of you to be sucking on candies while you're doing the show. Let me just reemphasize this, and I know a lot of you are getting sick of hearing this. I'm sorry. But I've got a cough right now. I'm probably going to have it for another week or two. Some chest congestion. And sucking on halls and sipping hot tea kind of keeps the coughing down to a minimum. Doesn't get rid of it entirely. So please forgive me, and please endure with me over the next little while I have to have lozenges in my mouth while I'm doing the show and sucking on tea. So please forgive me for that. The other thing, I want your guys' input. Little behind the curtains thing here. I know AMC gets crazy when I talk too much about what we've got coming up, but I do it anyway. It's my show, damn it. Anyway, so we are toying with the idea of doing AMC Movie Talk or AMC Mailbag. We are toying with doing AMC Mailbag as a daily show, Monday through Friday and on the weekends. And what we're thinking is for the Monday through Friday show, and this is where I need your input, because maybe this is a horrible idea, but on the Monday through Friday show, we'd probably go up in the early evening or something like that, Pacific Standard Time. We would just take general mailbag questions, but also what we'd like to do is kind of make it an interactive part of that day's AMC Movie Talk. So let's say on AMC Movie Talk that morning, we talk about some new Star Wars casting news, and we talk about a new Martin Scorsese movie coming out, and a couple things like that. What we would then do, like 5 or 6 hours later with the evening AMC Mailbag, is not only take some general mailbag questions, but also read off a bunch of your comments and your thoughts on that day's movie news. Because on AMC Movie Talk, we just fire through a bunch of issues, and you hear the opinions of myself and the other panelists on the table. But we were starting to think that maybe it's a good idea if we do like Mailbag Daily, but make part of Mailbag, a significant part of Mailbag, Monday through Friday, taking your thoughts and comments and questions and observations about that day's stories as well. So it kind of becomes the interactive part of AMC Movie Talk that day. And we take a couple of general mailbag questions as well. So that is something that we're toying around with. I'm feeling pretty good about the idea. I'm not totally sold on the idea yet, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about that as another dimension to what we're doing. It's a buttload of work, but if it could be fun and if it would be valuable to people, we think we should do it. So anyway, jump in the comments and let me know what you think about that. The other thing, some house cleaning here. Don't forget, tonight is the Geeky Awards. If you're watching this on Sunday, tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is the annual Geeky Awards. And AMC Movie Talk, me and the crew, we are up for Best Show, for Best Podcast, Best Vlog. And we're really excited about it. We are up against some very stiff competition. But if you go over to the Geeky Awards website, the presenters tonight are amazing. Randy Couture, Ritter, Gail Ann Hurd, Stan Lee, LeVar Burton. I mean, like the guys from King of the Nerds and Revenge of the Nerds are going to be there. It's a really, really cool list of presenters and people who are going to be there on stage tonight. And it should really make the show, even though we are going to lose, I don't think we have a 10% chance of winning this award tonight. But it really is just an honor to be nominated, especially amongst the other shows, great shows that have been nominated this year. So you can watch it at twitch.tv/The Geeky Awards. Simple enough, right? Twitch.tv/The Geeky Awards. And I believe the broadcast starts at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's LA time, so that'll be 10 p.m. East Coast time. So you can tune in and watch the show there, and maybe you'll see us on the red carpet or see us in the audience. You probably won't see us on stage, accepting any awards. But Schnepp will be hard to miss because he's like 6'50", He's huge, so you'll probably see him, no problem. But by all means, tune in. Yeah, one other thing I want to do before I get to the movie questions today. And I wasn't going to do this on one of our AMC shows, but I've been getting some emails about it, and it's been almost a week since the passing of Robin Williams. And if you guys saw our episode, paying tribute to Robin Williams, you know what he meant to all of us. We grew up with Robin Williams and spent countless hours being entertained by Robin Williams and all that kind of stuff. And everybody's been spouting off these platitudes all week long. You don't need me to do it again. But you know what he meant to us. But what was really weird to me, weird and concerning at the same time, was going through like my Facebook and my Twitter feeds following the passing of Robin Williams. And I don't know if the passing of Robin Williams brought this on, or if this stuff has always been there and I've just never noticed. But I've noticed a lot of people who follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and I see what they write in the newsfeed as well, talking about struggling with depression and talking about struggling with who they are and not being happy with who they are. And I'm going to tell you, flat out, in some cases, some people directly saying right on Facebook that popping up in my newsfeed that they're contemplating suicide too. And what comes across in these types of posts a lot is the sense of isolation, the sense of feeling alone, that they alone are struggling with what they're struggling with, and no one else can relate. And a lot of stuff about self-image, self-identity, self-doubt, unhappy with who they are as people, and things like that. And I decided to write something on Facebook. I wasn't going to do it on the show. I wrote it on Facebook. But as a result of the emails that I've been getting from that thing I put up on Facebook, I kind of wanted just to repeat here on the show to all of you, my fellow movie fans. A lot of people look at me, John Campea, the ranter, woo, like me, John Campea, and what I wrote on Facebook, it was basically, a lot of people look at me who just see me online, right? And they think that I'm John Campea, like I'm this big, boisterous Giovanni, I just command a room when I walk into it. I'm the focus of all the crowds, and I'm completely this huge extrovert, loaded with self-confidence and blah 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 and all this stuff. And maybe that's the image that comes across of me if you just watch me on YouTube. And I try to be very authentic on YouTube, but maybe that's the way it comes across. But the reality about John Campea, I'm going to share a little bit about myself with you here. And I know this isn't movie talk. Just bear with me, okay? Because I think this is important. The fact of the matter is, I am kind of shy. I'm a bit of an introvert. Maybe a big introvert. I said that, in a crowded room, I'm most likely to be the quiet guy off in the corner on my phone, just, doing something to try to avoid attention. Jeremy Johns and I hung out a bunch at Comic-Con a couple weeks ago. And we would walk around the Comic-Con floor, and we would get stopped a lot by viewers and fans who would want to stop and talk to us and take our pictures. And trust me, when that happens, I'm super honored, and I love it. I really do. But whereas Jeremy, man, he's just a different beast than me. He's like, so he just loves it, and we had this great talk about that. He just loves it. It's just amazing. And while I really appreciate it, and I don't want to dissuade anybody from coming up and saying hi if you see me, by all means, please do. I'm a little uncomfortable with it, because the fact of the matter is, I still have no idea why anybody wants to stop and meet me or talk to me or have anything to do with me, to be quite frank. I am actually an introvert. I'm actually shy. I'm actually not self-assured. And what I wrote was, when I come across on our videos and admittedly I come across on my videos sometimes as really big and egotistical and things like that, the harsh reality of that is that it really is just me on camera overcompensating for the fact that I have a low self-esteem. And so my message on Facebook was basically, look, if you're somebody who you aren't happy with who you are, you feel unworthy to be around the people you're around, maybe you feel like you don't measure up, and that There are just big deficiencies in you that you don't measure up to other people or measure up to society, and there's something wrong with you. And if you're somebody who looks in the mirror and sometimes doesn't, frankly, like what you see when you look in that mirror, then the fact of the matter is you're just like me. I'm like that too. And the point is that I wanted to get across on my Facebook page. The point is not that I'm insecure too. And the point isn't, hey, just buck up. The point is you're not alone. The point is there are lots of people like us. There are lots of people who may look like they really have it all together and things like that, but really deep down, they're insecure, they self-doubt, they have problems, they have whatever. And honestly, if you're one of those people, so am I. And the fact of the matter is, you're not alone. You're not isolated. You're not the only one who's struggling with that and feels like that. And I think there is strength to be found in understanding that. And I know it helps me a lot. I know I'm not the only idiot who thinks I'm a moron. I know there are other people out there who feel the same way about themselves. And that's actually kind of oddly reassuring to me. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not just some freak feeling this way. This is a normal thing that a lot of people go through. So my message to everybody, especially in the wake of the Robin Williams thing, is you're not alone. I'm not going to say who it is. I've got a celebrity friend of mine who's actually been struggling with a lot of stuff. And after the Robin Williams thing, I've been like freaking out. I'm like texting them every day. It's like, how you doing, dude? How you doing? You hanging in there? But anyway, in the wake of Robin Williams, I just wanted to share that. So there you go. Anyway, you guys didn't tune in here for AMC self-motivational self-help talk. You came here for movie talk. And so we are going to get to movie talk. Thank you so much for indulging me there for a little bit as I shared that. But let's get actually on to the movie news as I take another sip of my tea to keep my cough in control. And our first magnificent question today comes to us from Jamal Witherston, who writes, "What's up, AMC? Love the show. I love the shows you guys do. Thank you so much, Jamal. Appreciate that, man. Quick question for you. I notice on AMC Movie Talk, you guys go through topics pretty fast, like 2 to 3 minutes each. On Mailbag, you kind of take your time and elaborate more, and the shows can go 45 minutes to an hour. Why not take your time on Movie Talk like you do on Mailbag?" Well, thanks a lot for the question, Jamal. It's funny you wrote that in because I actually had some people complaining to me yesterday about the length of the show and how much time I spend on each topic. But here's the difference between AMC Mailbag and Movie Talk. And I've kind of touched on this before. On AMC Mailbag, it's a lot more laid back and relaxed. I'm in Studio B here. I don't have a crew here. It's just me. It's a lot less formal. I can just kind of lay back, relax, and just talk movies, and talk about the movie issues and talk about, the questions that come in and really take my time and I enjoy it. With AMC Movie Talk, though, it's a little bit different. For AMC Movie Talk, we made the change about 9 or 10 months ago to move into this big studio called the Stream.TV in Hollywood, California. And they're awesome, by the way. We have loved working with the Stream.TV and the crew there and the people who run that place. Just a great place to shoot our daily show. It's wonderful. And so we decided to start shooting AMC Movie Talk, which is the backbone show of everything we do with AMC, into that studio. And they have a full crew there from, lighting people, camera people, control people. It's a pretty big operation, actually, and everything that goes into making each day's show. And that's on top of all the AMC Movie News crew. But here's the thing. With AMC Movie Talk, there's a couple of things about why we keep that to a half hour. One of the reasons is, of course, is that every day there's like brand new movie topics that come out that we've got to get through and touch on and make sure everybody's informed as to what's going on and give a little bit of insight and opinion into what it all means. That's our tagline of the show, right? But the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that it's expensive. It's expensive shooting in a Hollywood television production studio. It's real expensive. And don't get me wrong, the Stream.TV gives us an amazing deal. They are wonderful to work with. But it's still expensive. It's still like the biggest item line in my budget that I have to put together is renting that studio for that one show. And we pay for and produce a half hour. And to be fair, it goes about 35 minutes every day. But we pay for and do for a 30 minute show every day. If we were to extend that to an hour, the costs would double. Because we got to pay for the studio time, we got to pay for all the people that are manning the studio, we got to pay for all that stuff. And the cost would essentially double. AMC Movie Talk doesn't make money. You'll see we don't play commercials on AMC Movie Talk or anything. We don't generate money. So we have to be very careful about our budget and what we spend our money on. And the fact of the matter is, doing an hour a day just isn't cost efficient. We can't do it. It would just simply cost too much. And on top of that, I'm not sure we'd want to go more than that, because it is the daily news roundup show, and we want to be quick, and we want to be concise with it, and all that kind of stuff. So those are the reasons that sticks to a half hour. With AMC Mailbag, sometimes people complain when I talk about for a topic for like 10 minutes or more. Some people might complain, and I'm not complaining about these people. I'm just saying the complaints come in if I talk about a topic more than once a week or whatever. But see, that's very alien to me, because I love talk radio. Specifically, and in particular, I really like sports talk radio, because I'm a big sports fan. You guys know that. So I listen to ESPN Radio, right, when I'm in Los Angeles here. And I'm telling you, seriously, if Pau Gasol, he's a player on the Los Angeles Lakers, if he gets an ankle injury, they will talk about that on their radio shows for 2 to 3 hours. How bad is the injury? What does the injury mean? How will this shuffle up the roster on the team? And they will talk about it for 2 to 3 hours a day for 2 weeks straight. All right? I mean, the NBA draft just happened, and they will talk about the topic is, what should the Lakers do in the draft? And they talked about that for hours every day for weeks. They threw in some other stuff too, but they talked about that for weeks. And that's cool with me. I'm a sports fan. I love hearing long talk, in-depth talk about sports. So my philosophy is, coming into Mailbag, which is really a much more, Mailbag is really a lot like a talk radio show, really, if you think about it. So we come to this show, Mailbag. I really enjoy not having the time constraints that we do in, say, AMC Movie Talk. I like being able to just sit down at the mic, bring up some questions, and talk about whatever's on my mind regarding that question. And if it takes 2 minutes, it takes 2 minutes. If it takes 15 minutes, it takes 15 minutes. You know, despite what we do on AMC Movie Talk, I'm not a Twitter thinker, you know? I'm not one of these people who can only talk about things in small bites. I'm not just a 140 character only thing and think that's a valuable discussion. On Mailbag, like I said, if the topic feels like it just takes 2 minutes, then it takes 2 minutes. It takes 15 minutes, it takes 15 minutes. That's the way I like to do it, because I'm more casual, more laid back when I'm here, and I kind of like it. Now, I know that's not for everybody, but because some people are, and there's nothing wrong with this. Some people really are just Twitter thinkers. They're just small bites. Give me everything in small bites. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But no matter how I do Mailbag, whether I do it in just small bites, whether I do it really long, whether I do it in Studio B, or whether I do it at the Stream Studio in a big production facility, no matter how I do Mailbag, it will never be for everybody. Nothing is for everybody. So all I can do really is do what I think is best. And hopefully some other people want to watch it and come along with me for the ride and enjoy it. And not everybody will. And that's okay. That's totally okay. You know, if you really like the shorter stuff, we got Monday through Friday, we got AMC Movie Talk. If you like some longer diatribe stuff, we got AMC Mailbag on the weekends. And we can have that discussion and debate and agree and disagree with each other. And that's the best thing about film, man. So that's the way, that's probably why we do things a little bit longer on the weekends and why we do things a little bit shorter during the week. I hope that answered your question, Jamal. Thanks a lot for the question. All right, let's move on to question number 2. And question number 2 comes to us from M.A.K. And M.A.K. writes, "Hey, AMC Movie Talkers, love the show. Haven't missed an episode. John, you're the man." Well, thank you so much, M.A.K. I appreciate that. My question is about the DC shared universe. John, you said earlier in the show that the best step for WB DC is to do a Justice League and then do individual movies. But I'm wondering, isn't that going to be a problem? After Justice League, they have to do an origin story for each character. And that's going to feel like a step back because they will feel like prequels. No one is forcing WBDC to do it, but the fans want to see an origin story for the Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, etc., especially since it's never been done before. Well, thanks so much for the question, M.A.K, and I really appreciate it. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, I've often said that while I love the way that Marvel has handled its cinematic universe by doing a few individual films and then doing Avengers, I've always felt that Warner Brothers, even though that worked for Marvel and that was great, I've always felt that for Warner Brothers, the better approach would be start with some big team-ups, whether it's Justice League or what they appear to be doing with Batman v Superman. And then get a following for your individual characters in a big, great team-up movie. And then, with that new popularity, let them go out and have individual films. That's always been my opinion. And I know some other people disagree, and that's cool too. That just happens to be my opinion. And I think it's the right move for DC. So what M.A.K is saying is like, wait a minute, but now you got to go out and do origin stories after they've already been in. Isn't that going to be prequels? And I completely disagree. You don't have to do origin stories. I made a video, an editorial video for AMC a week or two ago that was something like this. It was kind of titled, How Guardians of the Galaxy Proves You Don't Need Origin Stories Before Doing a Team Movie. For Guardians of the Galaxy, we didn't need to see the origins of Drax the Destroyer. We didn't need to see the origins of Groot. We didn't need to see the origins of Rocket Raccoon. We didn't even need to see the origins of Peter Quill. In the film gave us just little glimpses into what their backstory is. You know, we see Peter on Earth as a child. We hear them talk about Rocket and how he was a test experiment. He was torn apart, put back together again. He's a byproduct of genetic experimentation. We heard a little bit about the background of Groot, or not of Groot, of Drax, that his wife and his family were killed by Ronan the Accuser. And he's been on a hunt for vengeance. We heard a little bit of backstory about Gamora, about who her father is, who her real father is, some of her background. And that's all we needed to know. We didn't, to fully appreciate, to have a great Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we did not need a full in-depth origin story movie for each of the individual characters. They just brought them together and said, go. And away they went, which was great. I believe you don't need a Wonder Woman origin story. Now, if DC Warner Brothers put out a Wonder Woman origin story next week, would I be in line to see it? Absolutely. But I would rather, if you give me an option, hey, John, you want to see a Wonder Woman origin story next week? Or would you rather next week that Warner Brothers puts out a Wonder Woman movie where she's fighting, I don't know, who's the god of war again? I keep forgetting the name of the god of war. But anyway, Ares. That's it. Would you rather see a movie where she's already established and she's going up against Ares? I'd rather see the one where she's already established and she's going up against Ares. Sign me up for that one. So it's not that I don't want a Wonder Woman origin story, and I think a lot of people think this way. A Wonder Woman origin story would be cool. That's fine. But if you give me the choice between another origin story movie or a movie with Wonder Woman already kind of established about who she is, and she's going to be going up and, fighting the god of war, Ares, I want to see the movie with Ares. That's the one you signed me up for. I don't need to see her origin story. In Batman vs. Superman, have like a 1-minute scene like they did with Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy, where she talks about the island and the Amazons and, her role and what she's doing. Give us a little bit of a glimpse into her backstory. Good enough. Now let's move forward with Wonder Woman. That's what I want to see. Think about the Marvel Hulk film with Edward Norton, right? It was a reboot, but did they feel the need to retell the origin story? Nah, just in the opening 2-minute credits, they kind of told the backstory of the Hulk in little glimpses and flashes and newspaper things and some narrative for about a minute or two. And that was all we needed. Hulk time. And then we get into the Hulk. And I honestly feel like I don't need a Flash origin movie. Tell me a little bit about the origins of Flash, but I don't need a Flash origin movie. Give me a movie where we just pick right up into the action. He's the Flash. Let's go. Same thing with Aquaman. Same thing with Wonder Woman. Once again, I'm not saying don't do origin movies or that I wouldn't be interested in those origin movies. Of course I would. But if you're going to give me the choice, as a fan, go see Wonder Woman's origin movie next week, or instead, go see a movie where Wonder Woman's already established and she's going to fight Ares. Sign me up for Ares. You want to go see an Aquaman origin story next week? Or do you want to go see an Aquaman movie next week where he's already the king of Atlantis and he's going to fight Black Manus? He's got to take on Black Manus for control of the oceans. Give me the Black Manus movie. Give me the one where he's already established. I don't need to find out how. Just tell me about how Arthur, how he had a human father and was raised on land, even though his mother's the queen of Atlantis and he's actually royalty, and then that he went back to the sea and reclaimed his throne. Just tell me that in a minute or two scene in another movie, and then let's just go with the Aquaman action. Now, I'm clearly, not everybody thinks the way I'm thinking about this, and that's totally cool. That's awesome. Maybe you feel that, no, John, it's important to have an origin story. I disagree, but that's cool that you feel that way. And who knows? I have a feeling that Warner Brothers DC is going to be giving us a mixture probably of a few of their standalone films will probably be origin stories, and then a couple of their standalone films will just assume we already know some background and they don't worry about the origin story. I got a feeling it's going to be a mixture of the both. So let's stand back. Look, ultimately, I don't care. Just make them good movies. I don't care if it's an origin story. I don't care if she's fighting Ares. I don't care if Aquaman's fighting Black Manta. Just give us good movies. As long as it's good, I'm happy, and let's run with it. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question today comes to us from Josh Deaton, who writes, I just wanted to know your thoughts on the trailer for Jake Gyllenhaal's new movie, Nightcrawler. The trailer slipped through the cracks because of its release around Comic-Con, but for me, this trailer made it one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And hell yeah, the trailer for Nightcrawler is awesome. Now, I think a lot of us were thrown off at first when the news of Nightcrawler came out. Remember this? Because word came out, Jake Gyllenhaal to star in Nightcrawler, and everybody got all excited. It's like, Jake Gyllenhaal's going to be in an X-Men movie and he's going to play Nightcrawler? That's awesome. No. Totally different thing. If you haven't seen the trailer for Nightcrawler, I cannot recommend it enough. The trailer is ridiculously awesome. I am so excited for this movie. The trailer has I was kind of excited for it before the trailer came out, but the trailer just really hyped it up. Not only does it have Jake Gyllenhaal, who is, make no mistake about it, even though he's been in some crappy films, he is a remarkable actor. He's great. It's also got Rene Russo, who's incredible. It's got Ann Cusack. It's got Bill Paxton. I think this movie looks incredible. Now, one of the big things, though, that I'm very, very curious about is that it's being directed by a guy named Dan Gilroy. Now, this is Dan's first film that he is actually directing, but he wrote the screenplay and story for films like The Bourne Legacy, for Two for the Money, which I thought was a pretty darn good Matthew McConaughey, Al Pacino movie. And he wrote the story for that Hugh Jackman film, Real Steel. So clearly Gilroy's got this talent for storytelling. It's going to be interesting to see how he carries that through on the big screen. He's loaded with acting talent in front of him. The trailer looks amazing. I got to highly recommend, guys, if you have not seen it, just jump on YouTube and search for Nightcrawler trailer. And you'll find it, and it's really, really good. So yes, Josh, I don't know if it's my most anticipated film of the year now, but it's up there. I'm really excited about it. I thought the trailer was just incredible, so I'm super stoked about it. Check it out if you have not seen it yet. All right, let's move on to the next question today. The next question comes to us from Matt, who writes, Hello, AMC. Marvel is taking chances on Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. That's great, but what about the one thing Marvel has yet to take a chance on? A female hero movie. Marvel comic fans have complained for years about few female hero comics, and it's spread to the movies and TV. So far, they have done a great job with Black Widow, and Wanda might be great. By Wanda, he means Scarlet Witch, who is going to be in the upcoming Avengers 2. Wanda might be great, but the real test is if Marvel wants to take a chance and give us a female hero movie. Marvel has tons of female heroes to use. Will we ever get a female led Marvel movie like Black Widow, Miss Marvel, Rescue, She-Hulk, Wasp, or Tigra? Good question. First of all, I don't think they call her Miss Marvel anymore. I think now they just call her Captain Marvel. There's been a lot of talk for more than a year now about Marvel playing with the idea of a Captain Marvel movie. Now, Marvel also has finished scripts in various stages of development, probably for about 25 other films, including Runaways and a few others. And I believe Miss Marvel is a movie they've got a script for if they want to move ahead with it. Here's the interesting challenge. You also left out, they've done a great job with Black Widow. I believe they're going to do a great job with Scarlet Witch. And you left out Gamora. Marvel has added another great female hero to their cinematic movie universe in Gamora, who actually is now my favorite female, at least definitely the toughest one. She is the toughest of the female heroes they're going to have, is Gamora. But, so, they're at least, Marvel is at least moving in the right direction by starting to bring in these female characters in key significant roles. None more so probably than Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's one of the challenges that Marvel faces, though. This isn't an excuse. I'm just saying this is one of the challenges they face. I think you'll agree with me on this. It's at least a challenge. Whereas DC has one of the most iconic superheroes of all time in Wonder Woman, Marvel doesn't really have a Wonder Woman. Now, don't get me wrong. Marvel fanboys, don't get up in arms and get angry at me. I'm not saying that Marvel doesn't have any female characters that are as good as Wonder Woman. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I don't believe that Marvel has a female character that is as iconic or as widely spread known, even amongst non-comic book fans, and has such a pop cultural presence as Wonder Woman does. They just don't have a Wonder Woman. Like, when DC decides, okay, time to do a female-led comic book movie, they've got their automatic go-to. They've got a clear choice. It's Wonder Woman. You do that. At least we all hope that's what they're thinking. Marvel doesn't really have that character yet. Captain Marvel is great. Black Widow's great. Tigra is great. There are a number of great. Sue Storm is great. There are a number of wonderful Scarlet Witch, number of wonderful female Marvel comic book characters. Awesome. All I'm saying, and I'm not saying you can't make movies out of them. I'm just simply saying that's a challenge, right? It makes it a little bit more challenging for Marvel to do it when, like, DC has an obvious no-brainer right in front of them. Wonder Woman. I mean, that's the most can't-miss female hero you could do. And Marvel doesn't have that yet. It's coming, though. It's coming. Whether it's going to be a Captain Marvel movie, whether it's going to be a Black Widow movie, whether it's a She-Hulk, I don't think they're going to do She-Hulk necessarily, but who knows, maybe we can keep our fingers crossed. At least we can all say that it is clear that Marvel is at least heading in the right direction by introducing more significant female characters. And I think, Kevin Feige's talked about this. I think a female-led comic book hero movie is inevitable. The real question here is, once Marvel or DC roll those dice, and let's assume, let's not say awesome, let's not say terrible, let's say that they make a decent female-led superhero character movie. Okay? So, not quite Avengers, not quite Batman and Robin, somewhere in the middle. So, let's assume that either DC or Marvel comes out with a female superhero character movie, they put it out, and it's pretty decent. The real question is going to be, are you and me, and more importantly, the general movie-going audience that doesn't care if a movie's a comic book movie or not, will we go out to support it? Ultimately, that is what will decide this. The studios are all for doing a female superhero franchises if it will make money. So the question really becomes, Will we, as the movie-going audience, go out and support it? That's the big question. And I hope we will. I hope we send the message, because that's how we send a message to Hollywood studios. We don't send messages by online petitions. Is there anything as useless as an online petition, especially in the movie world? Ridiculous waste of time. We don't send our message to studios by angry letters. We don't send messages to studio by our Twitter, tweets. That's not how you send messages to studios. How you send a message to a studio is, what do you spend your money on? That's how they hear you. So if they put out, let's say they do a Captain Marvel movie, this female-led comic book movie, Captain Marvel, they put it out and it makes, it makes $500 million at the worldwide box office. You're damn right they're going to make another female-led superhero movie, and you're damn right that if they beat Warner Brothers to the punch, Warner Brothers will be in production of a Wonder Woman movie pretty damn fast. They put out that Captain Marvel movie, and it makes $500 million at the worldwide box office, $600 million at the worldwide box office. That is us sending a message to them that this is what we want. We want some female-led comic book movies. It's about time. However, they make that movie, and it makes $300 million worldwide, or $200 million worldwide, barely breaks even, or heaven forbid, loses money. That is us sending a message to them that we're not interested. I mean, we can tweet that we're interested, and we can sign those useless online petitions that say we're interested, and we can do all that kind of stuff and say we're interested. But what you really speak with is your movie buying dollar. And if you don't go out and watch that movie when they put it out, then you can bet that they ain't going to make a She-Hulk movie. And you can bet that DC or Warner Brothers, even if they were planning on a Wonder Woman movie, they're probably going to halt that project right away. Because we sent a message. And that's how we send a message. So, my challenge to you, Matt, and all the rest of us like me, who have been calling for these studios to do a female-led superhero character movie in this new comic book movie age, the real responsibility for this isn't going to be the studio, it's going to be us. And do we support that movie? At least give it a shot when it comes out. If we do, they will listen and they will make more. If we don't, they will listen and they will not make more. So that's really what it's going to be all about. Great question, Matt. Thanks for sending it in. And by all means, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't have to agree with me. Disagree with me. Tell me your thoughts. Add some more dimension to this conversation. Let's see where we're at. All right, so let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Shervin, who writes, "Hi AMC, love the show and haven't missed an episode since I found you." Well, thank you. We're very glad that you found us. My question is about the Transformers franchise. Due to the fact that Transformers movies keep on getting worse, and they get a lot of hate and awful reviews, how come they do so well at the box office, especially the third and the fourth installment, that have both earned more than $1 billion worldwide? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. Well, it's a great question, and one that's come up a lot. You all know that in the weeks leading up to Transformers 4, I was like, you know what? As much as I hated Transformers 2 and Transformers 3, everybody knows how much I love the first Transformers. But you all know I didn't like Transformers 2 or Transformers 3 at all. But I said, you know what? I actually think the trailers to these Transformers 4 movie, I think this looks pretty good. I actually think we're going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm getting excited. And I think we all got excited. And we all ran out to see it. I know I bought tickets. I know my whole crew bought tickets. We all went to go see Transformers 4. So we were part of that box office total. I am a part of that box office total that Transformers had. Transformers 4, I mean. And it's the worst movie of the year. It's awful. It's just garbage. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is by far a better movie than Transformers 4. If you had told me at the beginning of the year that I would say at the end of the year that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a much better movie than Transformers 4, I would have slapped you. And then I would have slapped myself. But it's true. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle was a better movie than Transformers 4. Transformers 4 was just wretchedly awful. But it looked good. And it's one of those things that we all want to see. Big, visual effect heavy, action, giant robots. We all love the Transformers. And with each new movie comes the promise of a great movie. But it turned out to be trash. But it made a bunch of money and blah, blah, blah. It just goes back to the thing that box office results does not equal quality. And lack of box office result doesn't necessarily equal quality either. Quite often, the best film of the year is a film that made less than $100 million. But I mean, yeah, I mean, there you go. It's just one of those things. And it should be noted that while Transformers 4 made $1 billion worldwide, because they did a really good job marketing it in the international market, Transformers 4, I believe, made less money in the U.S. than any of the Transformers movies. It's like, so the worldwide international numbers, very big, very huge. And don't get me wrong, the domestic numbers are big too, but it's shrinking. Less people went to go see Transformers 4, went to go see Transformers this time around than for any other Transformers movie. And that says something. So even though they did a great job marketing it internationally, making a big bunch of money, the fact of the matter is, in the main market, which is the North American market, the audiences kind of have been wising up. But really, how much are we wising up? The fact of the matter is, as much as I hate Transformers 4, if they do a Transformers 5, I will be there opening night. Because I love Transformers. And I love big action and big things. And I'll just go again with my fingers crossed that they'll do it right this time. And I'll be there. And I think Transformers is a franchise that really embodies that. I keep hoping they're going to get back to what made the first one so good. And they haven't done it yet. So, in my opinion, at least anyway. But we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks a lot for the question. Let's move on to the next question today. I think we got like 2 or 3 left. Okay, so the next question today comes to us from Jameson Placken, who writes, "Hi, love the show. On a recent mailbag, John got in a question about should they re-release Star Wars in theaters before Episode 7 comes out. Now, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, it might have been yesterday. Somebody asked if it would be a good idea that if the studio re-releases the original trilogy, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, into theaters again before the release of Episode 7. And I said, absolutely, it makes good sense for marketing for Episode 7, and because of the renewed interest in Star Wars because of Episode 7, it would make the re-releases make a lot of money. Anyway, my question is, weren't they going to re-release all of them, even the prequels in 3D? I know they stopped once the news of the new episodes coming out happened, but do you think they should put them out in 3D, and if they still choose to release them? Also, if they stopped with releasing those, why do you think they would want to re-release them again? Well, thanks a lot for the question, Jameson. There's a couple of different situations and different circumstances now. You remember a couple of years ago, they re-released The Phantom Menace in 3D. They re-engineered it into 3D and put it out in theaters. And the plan was to re-release all the Star Wars films again, once a year, I believe, remastered into 3D, and re-release them, starting with The Phantom Menace, and then, Star Wars Episode 2, Star Wars Episode 3, and then the original trilogy. That was the plan. Then the sale of Star Wars to Disney happened, and they put the brakes on that. Let's start with the 3D thing. Do I think they should re-release them in 3D? It's a personal preference thing. I know AMC cringes when I say this because 3D makes more money for the theaters. I don't like 3D. I just don't. Whenever I have an option to see something either in 3D or in 2D, I will always choose 2D. I just think it looks better. I don't like the gimmick. I don't like putting tinted film over my eyes to kill a picture and desaturate color and all that kind of stuff. And it just feels, and it doesn't add anything to a movie for me. But that's just me personally. I got some really good friends who love the 3D experience, who will always choose a 3D showing over a non-3D showing. It's a matter of preference. It's a matter of taste. No right or wrong answer here. Just for me personally, I'll always choose the non-3D over 3D. That's just me. So that's my answer to that part of the question. Then you asked if they stopped re-releasing them before, why would they re-release them now? Well, I think because now there's a purpose. I think now you're releasing them in tandem with the release of Episode 7. You're capitalizing on a new wave of publicity and awareness of Star Wars and anticipation of Star Wars because a new Star Wars film is coming out. So you put out the original trilogy 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever, before you release Star Wars Episode 7. I believe there's huge awareness. People will be excited about it. They're going to go out and see it. And I think they'll make money. And it's all marketing and publicity for Star Wars Episode 7. So I believe it's a win-win for Disney. Why do I think they stopped with the re-releases once Star Wars got sold to Disney. Number one, because I choose to believe that I think Disney wants everybody to forget about the prequels. I really do. So I think they wanted to stop that right now. I think if they re-release the Star Wars films before Episode 7, I believe, and I could be wrong here, I'm saying that right now, I could be totally wrong about this. I won't be surprised if I'm wrong about this. I'm just saying I have a feeling if they do re-release the Star Wars films prior to Episode 7, they probably will only re-release the original trilogy. Number one, because the original trilogy are in timeline terms, they're the newest films. They lead into Star Wars Episode 7. But mostly because of all the negative stuff about the prequels. I think they'll want to avoid that and distance themselves from that. That's just my thought. That's just my opinion. I know some people disagree. That's cool. Just saying. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I don't care to see it in 3D. I think the reason they would re-release it now is because it can go in tandem with Star Wars Episode 7. There's a purpose for it. And do I think they'll do all of them? I don't think they'll do all of them. That's just what I'm thinking. But like I said, could be wrong. But I do think they'll just do the original trilogy. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Next question comes to us from Arturo Ortiz. If that's not an MMA name, man, I don't know what is. That's an awesome name, dude. Arturo Ortiz writes, "Hola AMC. I look forward to the show every day." Well, thank you so much, Arturo. My question is, with the news and buzz about the new Dumb and Dumber 2 movie, it really got me thinking about another comedy franchise that Jim Carrey plays a huge part in, The Mask. Is there any chance they'll consider making The Mask 3 and completely ignore the disaster that was Son of the Mask? Or do you think they'll reboot the franchise sometime in the near future? Thanks, and keep on doing what you do best. Thanks a lot for the question, Arturo. You know, that is a really interesting question because there's a lot of similarities between Dumb and Dumber and The Mask, right? Both of them were hit Jim Carrey comedies. Both of them had sequels, in one case a prequel, come out that were awful, that had nothing to do with Jim Carrey. So you had Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, and you had Son of the Mask, both awful sequel movies. In, Dumb and Dumber's case, that's really a prequel, but you know what I mean. Both of them were awful sequels that Jim Carrey was not a part of. So now they're doing Dumb and Dumber 2, a true sequel to Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey. So why not The Mask? I gotta tell you, I love The Mask. I love it. One of the reasons I love it so much is because Cameron Diaz became my dream fantasy girl for years after that. She is just pure liquid awesomeness, hotness. I don't know that any female movie star has ever looked as hot as Cameron Diaz does in The Mask. I mean, she's just crazy good looking in that. Anyway, and I love The Mask. And I even think the mythology behind The Mask is really cool. Like this mask that was actually crafted, made by Loki, the god of mischief. Forget what they did in the sequel with him. I think that's really cool. And if they can do a Dumb and Dumber follow-up, why not The Mask? And I'm going to say this. If Dumb and Dumber 2 comes out, and if it's a big hit, I'm going to tell you right now, in some studio boardroom, they're going to be real fast. There are going to be meetings of people going, should we bring back The Mask? We went back to this one Jim Carrey property, huge comedy classic, horrible follow-up that didn't have Jim Carrey. We came back to Jim Carrey and it's a big hit in modern day. Maybe we can capture that lightning in a bottle again with The Mask. I guarantee you there are going to be talks about it. And if they don't, I believe it's a really good property for considering for a reboot. I mean, I would rather see a sequel. I'd like to see Jim Carrey in it. But when you just look at the story of The Mask and the mythology of The Mask, in a modern context with modern visual effects, you can do some great things there in a reboot. Now, then the big question becomes, well, who plays the Jim Carrey role? I don't know. We can answer that question later. But I like both ideas. I like the idea of coming back to The Mask again, especially if Dumb and Dumber 2 succeeds. But if Dumb and Dumber 2 does not succeed, if people hate it and it doesn't make money at the box office, blah, 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 you can just forget The Mask sequel. But let's not assume that. Let's think for a second that the new film is going to be a hit and it's going to be great. If so, and if that's the case, I believe it's a real possibility we could see a sequel within the next 3 years of The Mask. And if not, I think a reboot is totally viable. I think it's a movie that's really well positioned to be a reboot. So that's just my thought. Okay, we got 2 questions left for the day. Let's get into it with Kyle Beckwith, who writes, John and company have discussed this year potentially being the greatest year for comic book movies. While I agree this year has certainly delivered, I feel it can't be called a truly great year for comic book films because the juggernaut that is Warner Brothers didn't release anything. I believe that 2016 will take the crown for best comic book movie year. Captain America 3, the other Marvel property, probably Doctor Strange, X-Men Apocalypse, Sinister Six. Good or bad, it's an important film for Sony. And Batman vs. Superman. Enough said. What do you think? Well, Kyle, I see where you're going. And I believe there is certainly reason for great optimism for 2016. I really do. All the films you listed that are coming out in 2016 have the potential to be great and to make the best comic book year movie we ever had. However, that year has not happened yet. So it's all theory. It's theory and possibilities. For all we know, Batman vs. Superman could suck. I am personally believing it's going to be awesome. Sinister Six could suck. Just because Captain America 2 is one of the best comic book movies ever made doesn't mean Captain America 3 is going to be... I mean, they could all fail. Or they could be all the best movies ever. We don't know yet. That's a couple of years away. As far as your argument about you can't really consider this year the best year for comic book movies because, Warner Brothers didn't put out a film. I don't care. When for me personally, and this is just my opinion, but when I'm considering, what makes a good, is this a great movie for comic? Is this a great year for comic book movies? It doesn't matter to me who put a movie out. When I'm sitting down and watching X-Men: Days of Future Past, I don't care that Fox put it out. Any more than I would have cared if Sony put it out, any more than I would have cared if Marvel had put it out. I don't care. To me, which studio the movie came from, completely irrelevant. I simply sit back, here's a comic book movie. It's called Captain America Winter Soldier. Is it awesome? Damn right that movie's not good, awesome. Here's another movie, X-Men: Days of Future Past. Is it important you to know which studio put it out? Nope. Okay, well here's the movie. This movie is awesome. Not good, awesome. All right, here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you care to know which studio put it out? Nope. Okay, what do you think? Awesome. Not good, awesome. We have never had a year, in my opinion. Now, are any of these 3 films better than Avengers? No. In my opinion. That's up for debate, obviously. I don't think any of these films are better than... I don't think Captain America 2, I don't think X-Men: Days of Future Past, I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy is better than Avengers. Do I think any of them are better than The Dark Knight? No. I believe they have elements that are better than Dark Knight. I believe they all have elements that are better than Avengers. But overall, as overall total film packages, do I think any of those films are better than The Dark Knight? No. But I contend that we have never had a year with 3 comic book movies of this high of caliber. Just a consistent level of excellence across the board. Captain America 2, X-Men: Days of Future Past, and Guardians of the Galaxy are all what comic book movies should be. They're all remarkable. They're all fun times at the theater. They all have different layers. They're great films, even though they're 3 very distinct films. And in my opinion, and only my opinion, we have never had a year that packed with that much high quality. We just haven't. So the fact that Warner Brothers isn't one of the studios that put out one of those films, to me, is completely irrelevant. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, this is the best year for comic books we've ever had, in my opinion. So, and maybe 2016 can usurp that. Fingers crossed. Thumbs up. Let's hope that's the case. But until that happens, we can't give it the crown. All right, let's go on to my last question for the day. And the last one today comes from Freddy Fullerton, who writes, Hi, AMC. James Bond filming is set to start later this year, with the cast release is set to happen soon. There has been rumors that Chiwetel Ejiofor has been set to play the villain. Do you think he would make a good Bond villain? And who would you like to see take on the Bond villain role in the future? Thanks, and keep up the good work. As far as who would I like to see play a Bond villain in the future, I'm just going to skip that. That's just wild. I would just be wildly throwing out names, so that's irrelevant. But for any of you who've watched me for any period of time, you know that I have been in the driver's seat hard on the Chiwetel Ejiofor bandwagon for like 5, 6, 7 years. My first real exposure to Chiwetel was when he played the operative in Serenity. And I'm telling you, aside from Darth Vader, and maybe one or two others, his performance as the operative in Serenity as the villainous bad guy is my all-time favorite sci-fi villain. He was just an awesome character because of the performance that he brought to it. And I remember watching Serenity and seeing this guy that I had not heard of before, and quite frankly, at first couldn't pronounce his name. And just remember thinking, this guy is for real. This guy is insanely good. And you know how good an actor is when they're in a horrible movie and they still deliver what is obviously an amazing performance. There's this movie Chiwetel Ejiofor did a few years ago called Red Belt. Remember that? It's awful. And it's an MMA movie, so I was all excited about it, but it's really awful. But Chiwetel is the lead guy in it, and he's awesome in it. Just knocked it out of the park. And every time he's popped up in anything, he owns the screen when he's on it. And then came 12 Years a Slave. And look, I loved Matthew McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club, and I have no issue with the fact that he won that award. No issue with it whatsoever. I'm totally cool with it that he won. I'm just saying, had I had a vote, and I do not have a vote, but if I had a vote for the Academy Awards that year, while it would have been close, my vote goes to Chiwetel Ejiofor for 12 Years a Slave. I just thought he was that dominant in that film. But, yeah, man, I've been a huge fan of his. Him playing a villain, and it's more than just rumor. Now, it hasn't been confirmed. Let's be clear about that. It has not been confirmed, but it is more than just rumor. He has been the studio's top choice to play a villain. We know that. But that doesn't necessarily mean a contract's been signed yet. But let's assume for a moment that it's done and that he is our next Bond villain. Let's assume that that's happening for a second. It's an awesome choice. I believe it could potentially be the best Bond villain we've ever had. There are tools that Chiwetel Ejiofor brings to the table that I don't think any other actor can. I just believe in him that much. I think he is that good. And you know, because I've been harping about Chiwetel Ejiofor for years. It's almost embarrassing. But I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see it, and I hope it becomes a reality. All right, folks, that'll do it for today. This will be the second day in a row we've gone over an hour. My apologies for the length of the show. Once again, just want to remind you, the Geeky Awards, once again, tonight, 7 p.m. This is Sunday, the 17th. You can watch them live. I believe the live stream with the red carpet starts at 6 or 7, I can't remember, at www.twitch.tv/thegeekyawards. So make sure you check that out. We, of course, are nominated for Best Podcast or Vlog. Absolutely zero chance of winning, but maybe you can catch a glimpse of us in the audience. I want to remind you, too, lots of great movies playing at AMC Theaters. Best movie-going experience out there. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. Once again, if you want your email on the show, email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at AMC Movie News. So, that'll do it for me, guys. Have a great what's left of your weekend. I hope you guys are all safe. You're having fun. You're relaxing. And you're having a good time. You can, of course, follow me on all the various social media channels at John Campea. Thanks a lot for watching the show today, guys. My name's John Campea for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.